So quiet, I don't even have to bang the gavel to get started.
Come on.
Yeah, do it ceremonial. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting for tonight, June 6th. Start with a reading of our open public meeting statement, which says, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which time any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act and Board of Education Policy 0162, the Board of Education of the Borough of Bound Brook has caused notice of this meeting to be posted in the board office and at Bound Brook High School and mailed or faxed to the Courier News, Bound Brook Borough Clerk, South Bound Brook Board of Education, and any person who has requested individual notice and paid the required fee. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we take roll call this evening, I do need 6. All right. Well, apparently, we're going to redo that stuff in a couple of minutes, so hang tight. We need one more.
But before we take any action.
Very good. So I can continue with the procedurals?
You can, yes.
So number 1.4 is to appoint an acting board secretary.
Cannot do that.
There you go. So we are on pause until our next number arrives.
Boom.
Here he is, Danny.
Number 6, all right.
Round of applause for
Good job,
Danny.
Danny. You made us official.
Yes. Yes, you missed the Pledge of Allegiance, but we'll redo that later. It's fine.
I'll do some Harry later.
Okay, so with our 6th member now at the table, we can, that's okay. Move item number 1.4, which is to appoint Mrs. Taryn Snell as the acting board secretary. Have a motion? Motion. Thank you, Sid. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mrs. Snell, can you please do a roll call?
Mr. Ball,
Here.
Ms. Dawson, or Mr. Dawson,
Here.
Ms. Lima, Mr. Minhas,
Here.
Ms. Masan, here, Mr. Zepko,
Here.
Mr. Januzzi,
Here.
and I'll do Mr. DeFazio, and Ms. Gazino, and Ms. Rusumano.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. All right. My president's comments in brief, priority continues to be given to negotiating with our teachers union to try and find an amicable resolution to extending their contract. I do think we're making significant progress. Both teams are meeting now on a weekly basis. Our next meeting, Joanna, keep me honest, is Wednesday at 3:30. We're hoping to actually begin to move towards agreement in terms of things that we're both sides are happy with. Starting with this meeting and then continuing to work through those until everything's been resolved. So I think everything's positive. We're continuing to make progress. Otherwise, I mean, I think we're approaching the end of the school year at this point. Everybody's just kind of getting done with the end of the year. Exactly. Hold on for dear life. You know, and we're in the same shape. So Dr. Freeman is here again with us tonight. His transition continues. He's getting more comfortable with the staff, I think, on a daily basis, getting more involved and more immersed. Absolutely expect that beginning on July 1st. He's really going to hit the ground running. I'm very excited about that. And then I think just in general, for everybody's awareness, whether it's the end of June or the beginning of July, just want to tentatively plan for a goal-setting meeting. So to make sure that we start off the next school year on the right foot, we have alignment between new administration and the board, and so that we all go in eyes wide open in terms of what we want to achieve and what we think those measures of success will be. So just stay tuned for a little bit more. Hopefully we can schedule some dedicated time to do that. Okay. Any questions? No? Very good. Our superintendent is actually not here with us this evening. Mrs. Fisher, I'm not sure if you have any comments that you would like to offer or if we want to just skip that section at this point.
You can skip that section.
Very good. Moving on to committee reports. I do not believe we have had any committee meetings since our last meeting, short of human resources, which I think I covered in my president's report. Are there any comments that any of the members of the committees or the chair people want to offer at this time? All right. Hearing none, we are up to item number 4.1, which is open to the public for agenda items only. Do you happen to know if we have any questions online? Or you don't have access to those forms probably?
Yeah, they,
That's right, I have no internet. All right. Yeah, I think at this point, I will check for items in either of the two buckets offline after the meeting. If anybody has submitted questions online, I apologize that we can't get to them right now, but we'll make sure that we address you via email afterwards. No questions from the room that I see, so we will move on to item number 5.1. Resolve that the Bamberg Board of Education approves the minutes for our regular and executive meeting on May 23rd. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call?
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima? Oops, she's out. Apologies. Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zepko?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes. Okay. We are up to item number 6.1. Resolve that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in personnel resolutions under district and high school. This is 6.2 through 6.10. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Any discussion?
I have a question on this, and then I'm scrolling through. The difference between Pritchard that we awarded the bid to, what the difference between? Is it still?
Was that in six or is that in finance?
You're looking at
It's in
6.5.
finance. And are, what we're voting on now, are they? Employees versus outsourced?
Richard is our outsourced
Okay.
employees,
And
yes,
these are,
our in-house, correct.
So I would think the answer to that is they are complementary, not overlapping. Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zepko?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes. Item number 7.1, resolve that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in personnel resolutions under middle and elementary schools. This is 7.2 through 7.8. I have a motion. Thank you, Ms. Muslim. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zepko?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes. Let's give Edith a second just to get settled, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, we are up to item number 8.1. Resolve that the Bamberg Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in education resolutions under district and high school. This is just 8.2. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. A second?
Second.
Wow. All right, Mr. Minhas, you get it. Any discussion?
God bless those kids taking calculus over the summer.
Love it.
Sounds like a hoot.
They will be well prepared going into their freshman year. All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima? Abstain. Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
Mr. Janussi?
Yes. Item number 9.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in education resolutions under middle and elementary schools. This is 9.2 and 9.3. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Any discussion?
Robotics.
Dave Robotics.
Always.
All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
That's elementary, so I'm staying.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
And Mr. Janussi?
Yes. We are up to item number 10.1, resolve that the Bound Brook Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in financial resolutions. This is 10.2 through 10.15. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. I'll start the discussion with a thank you for the raising activities. Always much appreciated.
And the donation as well.
This is actually a pretty comprehensive section 10. Everybody will note that the transfer reports for April and March are on here as well as the certifications. So if you do have questions, feel free to ask them. Hopefully we can answer them. If not, we can at least take them down, and when Dr. Gallagher is back, we can go through them in detail. Anybody with questions? No. Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes?
Thank
Well,
you.
do I have to abstain from?
Probably
And abstain-
15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abstain from 15.
Good idea.
10.15.
15.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
And Mr. Janussi?
Yes. We are up to other matters to come before the board, which I do not believe any of them brought to my attention at this point. So I will open up new business. Comments or questions from the members? Anything we haven't talked about to date? No? Danny, anything?
Any updates with council?
We did not meet before this board meeting. We did meet before the last one. I do think I shared an update there. Okay, good. I can't tell what day it is and who I told what, so I appreciate that reminder. Okay. All right, we're moving on to number 13, open to the public for discussion. Anybody from the room? Nothing special. Okay.
Don't rush.
Yeah, please, not all at once. Again, I don't think we have access at the moment to the questions from the public. That's my fault. I actually have access to the file. I just don't have my board computer with me. I apologize for that. But we will check the logs and make sure that anybody that had a question has it answered after. At this point, we're going to move to go into executive session. This would be under items 1, 2, and 3. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Musson. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be right back.
No, I can't.
You guys don't need to stay. I think you're good. I think you're good. I don't think you need to stay.
Let's look at the email. Somebody. So they'll come to install the. Oh, okay. All right, perfect. Okay. Perfect, thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I just gotta finish. See you later.
Yes, so I mean, sorry, number 700 plus kids, so all the lines. Stack, so. Use that again for the trial, we use. Based on the site, some way that you would create an example that eliminate the site. Spread out. have things like we can for lunch, we can, this is some one-way trials. You know, because then we bring a schedule. We get things that we need.
I'll throw a wrench, because I think they keep it reading. I'm not like that. Because we have a rotating schedule. So the kids aren't making all that, so much is provided. Rotating schedule for that same class. Really helps us. But in order to get it, we need more teachers. Right now, our issue is that one class is doing. And so our,
Walking, so what does that mean? Like you start walking late?
where they just sit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they just sit. If they are over 10 minutes.
If you stagger to start, well, that's not. So like this one is. I know, I remember being asked. We did so stuff. I guess it would be, you have to get some medicine. What is it, is it large percentage? I would say. Between 4 and 6%.
Is that, and a big thing is work, so we have kids who are working till midnight. And we have a lot of kids, so that are working. Even at, hours. So that's that idea that some of those kids aren't just the traditional movie kids, so. Partly why they need a rotating job schedule where the first period and second period comes third period that goes away, it rotates down so the kid, even if they are struggling, aren't missing the first training class no time, but also, yeah, maybe there's that balancing. For me on the work side, I think, well, wait a second, how can what can I do to help alleviate that kid who comes in and I can tell they, so out of that 30, maybe 10 of them are workers, 20 of them might be just your traditional kid issues. But we have that population here where our kids are working. Me now, I have kids who are making $24,000 a year. It's on you.
So, okay, to the home, okay.
It's supposed to be, development, future, basic tendencies, now, we see a lot of them have here. Remember those days, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Minimal amount of kids were doing things at that.
The kids where I'm from, they take back.
They were.
So, no, I mean, they take it and send over the weekend. So, it's different. So, but, I don't know, we can work it out. We'll do it. I do want to make sure that this board gives time. Our parents know what to do time. to get people back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why I pushed again. And the plan is for one thing, for the teaching administrative side of it. For the student population, you're putting it more like a college, because right now we're doing the 80 minutes, 60 minute, or you get a lot more time with them. Better.
Say that again?
So right now we have 80 minutes, if we drive for a 60-minute rotating drive schedule, 4 out of 5 days schedule, we get 8,000 minutes. Which would be great, 60,000. And it would also help teachers, I think, because we are so equipped with one-on-one stuff. And a lot of times they can't do their group work as well as their online work because we've been a one-to-one district for probably how long we can.
So you're saying 60 minutes would give them more time?
Yes. Because you need more.
Because it would be everything.
It'd be 4 out of every 5. So 60 times 135 is like 8,000 or 75. Right. So balancing that. I mean, 60 minutes, I think is. So I look at it like a college schedule. You usually go 3 days a week, 60, 60, 60, or you go 2 days a week, 90, 90. So you get 3 hours. I think that's what made is the same model. When you're getting that sweet spot around 7,500, 8,000 minutes. Is an average course. So when I'm looking at a high performing district, I want that much time on that system. Here, I know teaching 20 years, started in 1998 from this 80 minutes is difficult for students when we're dealing with post-COVID, when we're dealing with.
Why is it more difficult?
Because we don't have the materials or resources that the students are using well. So I want to be able to give them more time to work with.
So they don't have the resources, but it's time.
Because it's very much. So if I have longer than 8,000 minutes, I can say, we need 20 minutes, we need certain days. I need to have that on time. And 6,700 minutes, I can't be, if you're reading like an hour, I can work over 70 hours, I can't guarantee you. I can sit here, I don't know what happened. Right now, I'd rather be a longer period, it's not shorter time. So that's where we want to be able to sit there and kick comes in. We do it now, kick comes in. I'm going to give you 20 minutes, knowing down the road. You do it right, and you review the essay. But you see before.
Some of it's still. I hear you about the time. I hear you about the time. For me, time is a reading time to do the reading work, right? You need to be able to do a workshop. You know, where you can spend time with kids that face on the level. Whether it's A, B, you know, see, I hear you saying about rotating, about that. That's a little bit. fair enough. What did you have to say?
One thing here, this is building, but we had below.
Seems like it's gonna be easy work. You guys know. See, that's the person that. And what up, chief? Sorry. You get a chance to speak to me. Kind of negotiations.
In the sense that, and I should argue that a 60-minute period is more beneficial for the students at this point because they're not capable of being focused. Right? So what are we going to do? Are we going to retrain the whole brain? Yeah. But I would argue that 60 minutes is a happy sweet spot between the 40-minute period and the clock, which is overwhelming and probably is almost 80% semester. Semester class, we expect I need to have more dynamic relationship. Knowing that you are really anybody else is here to get the first period, second period. Every day, first period, you're still in class. You're not doing that second period, you're doing that. So you get a math class, you start at, when you get first period. But, right, and so.
I went fast and it's not feeling, so I'm thinking, so.
That's why, again, this runs into issues of doing, that's why we in the past, in other districts, changed that really was a growing revelation. Starts first period, the next day, the second period, the next day, third period.
What about consistency?
Consistency of.
Period.
With the rotating consistency, it's a consistent 8:30 to 8:30, 8:30 to 4:30, and you go 7:30, 8:30, 8:30 drops. So the consistency comes in the ability for the students to be more attentive. I would rather have more attendance.
Does the attentiveness depend on how it's being presented?
Okay, not at all.
That doesn't,
Okay,
you can tell me somewhat, but it doesn't tell me
So,
that.
yeah, no, that was a hyper.
Yeah.
So I agree, I think, so for me, it's what we're getting is students who are overwhelmed in the morning. We get the same,
What do you mean by overwhelmed?
they're tired.
I'll make it better. Who's a science teacher? Who's class classes?
Beatrice.
Siobhan.
That makes it work.
Those kids were correcting or getting a test back, right? I'll bet you this. I bet you she teaches me that, but I keep the kids. I bet you. I haven't seen her teach. I haven't seen her. I'll bet $1,000. Why? She just has those kids engaged. You know? If you break it up, kids are doing different things. Right? So let's say they come in. I do, for my first day, I do 20 minutes, 25 minutes of children's some practice models, discussion and such. And then we go into small groups. I work with one group, another group's on the computer, minutes, we switch. Okay? Before you know it, we're done. Oh my God. Especially if it's stuff that is that takes a lot of planning. We discuss.
Ishpin, you didn't mute the YouTube. You did not mute the YouTube. So all the conversation in here is still on the YouTube.
Back online? Very good. Alrighty. We are up to 15.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in approval of HIB cases under high school. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zepko?
Yes.
Mr. Janussi?
Yes. Item 16.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in approval of HIB cases under Millen Elementary Schools. This is 16.2 and 16.3. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Abstain.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musan?
Yes.
Mr. Zepko?
Yes.
Mr. Janussi?
Yes. We are now at item 17.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education adjourns. A motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Have a good evening.